the luxury of sustainability is unaffordable. And it's understandable that not everyone, specifically the marginalized class, is living in sustainable ways because they're more concerned with affordability rather than the impact on the environment. So my essay, I was answering the question, is sustainability a luxury or a necessity? So I'll read you my thesis. In a growing and equitable world, efforts towards sustaining the globe's systems must be perpetuated as sustainability is currently a luxury available to few, which must become a necessity in the eyes of all.
You said in one of your paragraphs that currently it's an issue of affordability. I don't completely buy into that. Do you think it's more of an affordability issue, or do you think it could also be a social issue?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some social aspect in it. So maybe people are not used to these new measures or they don't completely understand why they're being implemented. I understand why people are being afraid to kind of change systems when they don't like see how it could also positively help them because now they've known that okay, fossil fuel energy is what really helps me to provide for my family.
So you do talk a lot about that in your essay, and like we need to move towards making it more affordable. How though?
I think once there's a good technology or good system, sustainable system, I think it should be just focused on completely improving it, maybe making the materials that go into it, I guess finding cheaper but sustainable ways to do that. And then kind of mass producing it so it becomes cheaper and more accessible to people that are maybe in more, I guess, hard to reach areas.
I do have a question. It just came to me. So I think one of the examples that you were giving was India's GDP, that it increased, right, from 2020 to 21. However, not all farmers, I mean, not all unemployed people ended up with jobs. So would you say that economic growth can not be desirable?
I think just as a like direct answer that it's not completely desirable to have just a completely excessive growth. You don't need to have like a super high, super growing economy for it to benefit your people because it doesn't directly translate. But you could have an economy that thrives more where it's at.
You were talking about food production and agriculture issues in your essay. Or every year around the world, we waste $1 trillion of food. That's a report generated by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the World. Why do you think people are still not able to get proper access to food?
I think more of the global north countries have a big like affluence of food accessibility, and rather than having extra food just because or just extra productions because of profit, that profit or those I guess that production could have been directed towards the global south countries.
It's also, there is still a disparity between the wastage in economically developed countries, industrialized countries, and in developing countries. 70% of it is in developed countries. In less economically developed countries, you can somewhat attribute it to not having infrastructure in place to maximize food production, which again leads to underconsumption of food in less economically developed countries.